Hello and welcome back to Granted Gardens. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to make some homemade mozzarella. I think this is your first real look at the improvements of the kitchen. We still have a ways to go, but you can see the new kitchen coming along behind me. Pretty exciting. I wanted to shoot a quick video today of showing you how we make our homemade mozzarella. I love doing this, number one, because I love cheese, number two, because we put mozzarella on virtually everything, and it's fun just to know how to make it, plus anything that's homemade is a little bit better, right? So this recipe here I got from the kitchen of Roots and Refuge Farm here on YouTube. That video is what taught me how to make mozzarella cheese, so I stick pretty closely to that recipe. So I'll go ahead and show you guys what you need to get started. First and foremost, you're gonna need a gallon of whole milk. We do not have readily accessible raw milk here near us quite yet. We don't have that connection yet. So we go ahead and we just buy our milk from our grocery store and it works out just fine. But you just wanna make sure that it's a gallon of whole milk. Next, you're gonna need some citric acid. This I ordered off of Amazon. You're also going to need some animal rennet, or you can use vegetable rennet. We use the liquid ones, and I also got that from Amazon, and my lid didn't stay on, so I am making it work. And then you're gonna need a thermometer of some sort, a large pot, a pinch of salt, and a hot plate to set your hot pot on. So first and foremost, and this was something that Jess had mentioned in her video on Roots and Refuge, is she ices her pot before she starts her cheese. She goes into detail about she's not sure exactly, you know, how necessary this step is, but it works for her, it's worked for me, I'm doing it. So one ice cube in the bottom of the pot, and then you just kind of let it melt and roll around the bottom here. Theory is that this keeps your milk from scorching. So once this is totally melted, we can get started. Once your ice is totally melted in the bottom of your pot, you want to go ahead and add your 1 gallon of whole milk. There we go. Slowly. Don't splash. Alright, so we got our 1 gallon of milk in. Next, what you want to do is you want to add a teaspoon and a half of your citric acid to your milk. And the idea here is you're just going to go ahead and sprinkle it lightly across your milk. Once you've got your citric acid and you want to go ahead and just stir it lightly, make sure that it is all mixed up. You can do this for about 30 seconds. All right, once we've got our citric acid nice and stirred in, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna turn the heat on. You're just gonna turn your heat up to about medium-low. And then we're gonna go ahead and get our thermometer and we're going to heat this milk up to 90 degrees. If you're using a thermometer like mine, you just wanna make sure that you have it hang over the edge. You don't want it to touch the bottom of the pot. And we'll let this sit till it hits 90. While we're waiting for our milk to heat up to 90 degrees, we're gonna go ahead and get our rennet ready. So you're gonna need 1 cup of water and you're gonna need 1/4 teaspoon of rennet. You're gonna go ahead and put the 1/4 teaspoon of rennet into your 1 cup of water. And then we can go ahead and mix that up a little bit. And then this is ready, just waiting for your milk to hit 90 degrees. Okay, so our milk has reached 90 degrees, so we're gonna go ahead and we're going to take it off of the burner. So I just have a little hot pad here. You can go ahead and set that on. So we're gonna take this off the burner. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our rennet and water mix. Now, next what you want to do is you're going to want to mix in that rennet water mix, but you want to do it very lightly. So you can just go ahead and do little up and down motions, light little up and down motions to mix this in. And again, you're going to do this for about 30 seconds. Okay, after you've mixed that lightly for about 30 seconds, you want to go ahead and you want to put the lid on top of your pot. And then you're going to let this sit for 5 minutes. Don't mess with it, don't bump it, don't stir it. 5 minutes, let it sit, and we'll come back and check it out. Okay, so after you've let it sit for 5 minutes, you're going to check it out and move into cutting the curds. Now, if it doesn't look like it's set up yet, that's fine. Go ahead and leave it for another 2 to 5 minutes. But once it's set up, it should look something similar to this. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a knife and we're going to cut the curds. So to do that, you wanna go all the way down to the bottom and all the way across. And then you want to go the opposite direction. Once you've cut the curds, you want to go ahead and you want to put your pot back on the heat. And then you can take your thermometer and set it for 105. It shouldn't take very long, but you want to get the milk back up to 105. Through this process, you can go ahead and stir it occasionally. Once you've got it up to 105, you can go ahead and take it back off the heat. And shut your burner off. Now for this next part, you want to make sure that you have a microwavable safe bowl and a fine mesh strainer. And then I also prefer to use a slotted spoon, but sometimes it doesn't really make a difference. It's hard to get it out anyways. And what we're going to do is we're going to scoop the curds out of the way and put them into your fine mesh strainer. This process can take a while. You want to make sure that you get just about as much of the cheese out of the way as you possibly can. If you've got a little bit left over, don't worry about that, but just try and get out as much as you possibly can. Once you've got out as much of the cheese out of the way as you can, you're going to go ahead and you're going to try pressing on it. We want to try and get as much whey out of this cheese as possible. So you can just push it and drain it through your strainer. Once you've strained all of your cheese, you'll have a bowl full of whey. You can go ahead and put that back in your pot. There are a lot of uses for whey, supposedly. I've done some research, but we haven't really done much with this other than just adding it to the garden. But you do want to make sure you keep at least a little bit of it in case you need to refrigerate any of your mozzarella. You want to make sure that you've got a bit of whey in there to keep the mozzarella from drying out. All right, then you can go ahead and you can take your mozzarella out of your strainer and put it in your dish. Then you're going to want to microwave this for 1 minute. After 1 minute, you want to take it out and you'll probably have some whey at the bottom, so you're going to go ahead and drain that whey. You can try and put this back in the strainer, but once it starts getting a little stringy, it's hard to get it to strain properly. So you can also go ahead and just use your hands and press out the whey. As you're doing this, you also want to knead the cheese as much into a ball as possible. You can kind of fold it over on itself. Then again, you're going to drain out the whey, add your cheese back to the bowl, and then you're going to microwave for 30-second increments. And between each of those 30-second increments, you're going to repeat the straining and the kneading process up until you get the consistency of store-bought mozzarella. So I went ahead and did my cheese 2 more times with at 30 seconds, and whew, it's hot. But I think that we've got the right consistency. So an easy way to tell if you have got the right consistency and if you need to put it in a little bit longer is the stretch test. So you essentially want your cheese to stretch about a foot. This is hot. If you can do that, then you are at the right consistency. So at this point, we just need to go ahead and add the salt. Now, being completely transparent here, the first couple times that we made mozzarella, I was really reserved with the amount of salt that I put in because I usually don't like salt, adding salt to anything that I make. But I will say with mozzarella, at least in my personal experience, being generous with the salt makes a big difference in the flavor. So you can experiment with this. So I've got my salt. I would say, that was a little bit much. I had a chunk come out. Maybe a teaspoon. And go ahead and sprinkle that in on top of your cheese. And then you're gonna go ahead and just mix it in by folding the cheese again in on itself. Now, if you need to store this, you can put it in an airtight container and add a bit of whey. Otherwise, it's ready to go. You can add it to any of your meals or eat it just like it is. Yum. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon.